Researcher and author Dr. Asad El Malik moved from the United States to South Africa permanently in 2022 after several visits. Malik's upcoming book details the journey of his migration. It's called Fine Home Again. In his book, Malik shares stories of his upbringing and his experiences, including Hurricane Katrina, police violence, and broader issues that he faced as a black man in America. He joins us now as we chat to him about all of this, as well as his perspective on the recent presidential election outcomes. Dr. Asad El Malik, good morning, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, fantastic. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about your journey. I mean, what made you decide to pack up your entire family and move to South Africa?
So I wrote the book really because of that question. So often people ask, why did we leave the United States and come to South Africa? So I really wanted to chronicle the experiences of the typical African-American male to highlight some of the reasons why someone would leave the United States and move to South Africa.
Yeah, speaking of the experience of the African male, I mean, we know the experience of the American black male.
Yeah.
Even from a distance, we see the police brutality. You have created a three-part series via your YouTube channel where you compared the social and the economic, the lifestyle, the work culture, the pace, sense of safety, etc. How do the two countries compare?
Well, I think for African Americans in particular, there's a sense of home here in South Africa because we are a part of the majority. When I walk down the street, no one knows that I'm not Zulu or Petty or whatever, right? I'm often greeted in Zulu. So with that comes a certain sense of relief that you do not feel in the United States. So to kind of compare the two countries, I can only compare it from the experience of an African-American male, where I know that there's a hostility in one in the United States, and not so much as a hostility here in South Africa.
Yeah. Now, we've seen a rise of the number of Americans immigrating to South Africa since the dawn of democracy. What are some of the factors that in your research especially have culminated in pushing African Americans to consider life outside of the United States?
Well, I think it's about the hostilities that we feel in the U.S., especially 2020, post-George Floyd. I think a lot of African Americans finally begin to see that there's an option outside of the U.S. I think social media has played a very important role. YouTube channels and Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts have shown a different side of South Africa, so on a different side of the continent, and we're like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't know this existed over here. Maybe we'll take this opportunity and check it out.
Yeah, while we're on the U.S., let's talk about your perspectives, Trump's re-election back into presidency.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's the America we've always known as Black Americans. It's no surprise to us, and I think as you asked about African Americans migrating, I would expect to see a few more of us looking at South Africa, looking at Tanzania, looking at Rwanda, looking at Ghana. I think it's just come to that time where so many of us, we've been fighting for so long. Our existence in the United States has been a fight all the time. And at what point do you just say, let me find another place to actually be at ease, where I can live my life as a human being and not a soldier at war?
Yeah, so what would have the first black female president of the United States have meant for you as a black man?
Well, it would have been wonderful. She is a graduate of HBCU, a historically black college and university. I'm a graduate of an HBCU. She's a member of a black Greek-led organization. She represents in many ways the prototypical life of an African American. Those type of experiences. It would have been great for my mother, for my sisters, for my wife to be able to see a black woman in the highest realms of power on planet Earth. But unfortunately, the country chose a different path.
Yeah. So it did. Probably would expect to see more black African Americans moving to South Africa.
I would expect to see, maybe not particularly South Africa, but the continent as a whole.
Yeah.
Or I was actually on a call with a reporter from the Washington Post, and she mentioned the term Blackzit, right? Black people exiting the United States. So Africa, the continent, will actually will be one of the places, but also Europe, Portugal, and Central and South America are also places that many African Americans are moving.
Let's talk about your work as the manager of the Diaspora Project at the African Center for the Study of the United States and what your job entails.
So at the Diaspora Project at Access, my goal is to connect African American institutions, organizations, and individuals with the continent. We do this through research and publication, as well as cultural exchange. So earlier this year, we brought 20 African American HBCU students to WITS for 2 weeks, in which they were instructed by WITS University professors. They were taken to the Apartheid Museum, Constitutional Hill, Soweto, as well as other places. We took them to Four Ways Market in Santon City so they could see the spectrum of life here in South Africa. We've partnered now with Howard Business School and WITS School of Business for next year's program to bring more African American students here. These will be graduate students. So that's mainly the type of work I do. And also we've researched the African American population living here in South Africa.
Now, given the multiple relationships that exist between South Africa and the United States, why is it important to capture these relationships systematically? Well,
I think as the world gets smaller, because of technology, we need more peer-to-peer connections, people-to-people connections. Because governments may not always have the best communications, but if the people actually know and understand each other, it kind of saves from a lot of drama and stuff.
All right. Now let's talk about your book. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your book. You've documented your own journey of immigrating from the United States to South Africa. When can we expect it and what can people expect?
Book is out now. It's Take a Lot, Amazon, Kindle, you can find it everywhere. So the book is a memoir that documents my journey from around 2005 to present day. I'm from New Orleans, and in 2005, Hurricane Katrina decimated my city, leaving most of us without physical houses, but also stripping us of a sense of home. And I used the book to kind of chronicle my life, as well as the Black experience through my family, through happenings such as the death of George Floyd, to show how there's always been this stripping of our sense of home in the United States, and how I found home here in South Africa.
All right. So now, in closing, is there anyone you like to give a special and significant and a particular and a peculiar shout out to?
Yes, I want to give a special and a significant and a particular and peculiar shout out to the South African family for being so welcoming to my family and the community that we're trying to build here. South African people are just absolutely phenomenal, the most warm and most welcoming people. The greatest resource that South Africa has is its people.
Fantastic. Dr. Malik, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was researcher and author Dr. Asad El Malik joining us right here on The Weekend Report.